You gonna edit?
I'll have to edit a lot because there's a lot of dead space in there. I'm not even sure.
You were supposed to come up with a topic because you're a topic guy. I'm a wing it girl.
Yeah. Well, what's in the news this week? I don't even watch the news. I don't even know what's going on in the world.
I don't know. I can't. I did notice though, like, what was it? I can't remember what. You know, when you scroll through Facebook and like different news stations will have like their little blip of what they're talking about on there.
Right.
So one of them was, it was a question of, are vaccinated people okay to go to work with unvaccinated people? And so it was like this almost purposeful, you could see the purposeful divide in that question.
Right.
And then, I mean, so I responded by like, and this is why I don't watch mainstream media because of the purposeful divide.
Right. Well, yeah, just in the, like you said, just in the way they asked the question.
Yeah,
I mean, you
but
can tell what
I
they want.
think that's all purposeful. Like, it gets, I don't know, you know, what the motivation behind it is. I mean, we can only speculate. Like, does it get them better ratings? Does it, like, it's just, I don't know, it's getting old.
I think it's interesting, like you talk to people, and even if, like, everybody's like, oh, well, you know, I can't do this until I get my shot, or I got my, you know, once I get my shot, it's like we've been fully programmed to believe that this shot is what's going to get us going again and back.
But I don't think, I mean, because I have friends that got the shot and friends who don't, and I don't think it's our place to judge what, like, if they got the shot, like, you're like, what are you doing? Or you didn't get the shot, what are you doing?
Right.
It's just being, I think it's being understanding on whatever decision people have made for themselves. Because, you know, we have friends that got the shot. Mm-hmm. They were making their best informed decision that they felt they made for their family, or they have made for their family.
Right.
And I don't know why we have to be divided over that. I mean, we make different decisions for our families all the time and have, you know, since the beginning of time, but yet it's just every little decision seems more divided.
Well, but again, I think it goes back to like what you're saying, like we're bombarded with these messages, whether it's for or against. I mean, it's probably more for. I think the predominant opinion is we need this. It's your civic duty to get these shots. And so there's probably more. I feel like, at least for me, and maybe that's just because of who I follow and what I watch.
I mean, obviously, as we've decided for our family that we find it more important not to, because of, you know, we have many reasons listed, and a lot of it is because you can't tell me I have to inject my body. I'm not saying the injection's bad or wrong. I'm just saying I should not be forced to inject my body. However, the other people have the freedom too, based on their research.
Right. Well, I mean, and I like I've said, I haven't denied. I think we both would say, well, at least I've saying, I'm not saying I absolutely 100% equivocally will not get this shot. I haven't said that. But where I sit today, I'm like, with my rational self saying, okay, I've already had COVID. It was really crappy, worst sickness I've ever had. But my, you know, after getting the antibody test, and it's like, okay, well, my body's doing what it needs to do to combat this. And so do I need to go down that path? And then, of course, you know, someone's like, well, that's only for 3 months, or that's only for 6 months.
And get tested every 3 months.
Well, but again, I think
we shouldn't have to.
The point being is that, like what she was explaining, and this is, I need to actually do my own research on this, is that, so if you have the antibodies, it's kind of like the shot. Like,
right.
You have these antibodies, you're still being exposed to this stuff.
Right.
And I think, I mean, that's why, you know, again, whether it's any kind of virus, you still have mild exposures to this stuff. And so that's where, like, for me, I'm like with the mask thing, I think, like, well, personally, I think we've been programmed to think that these masks are going to save us, and the masks are just,
No,
I mean,
they don't work. You can no.
The only thing that I think honestly makes any sense to me is like the social distancing and washing, but that's always
But
been there.
I also think masks is a psychological comfort for some
Yes.
people to go out in public. It's
Right.
like a physical, psychological. Do I think it helps? Have you seen people walking around these things? They're like pulled down their face, or they're like
Right.
used after 5 days in a row. Like, no, they're gross. But
I saw this young lady on the plane, and she gets on. She had got on with like the medical grade mask or whatever, and then she gets in the plane, and she puts on. It's not even a mask. It's like this, like, as a, it was bizarre. So I was watching her, but like it was like this mesh. Like it looked like it. Like I was laughing for a minute because when she had it in her hand, I'm like, I'm like, that's quite the mask. She's like, yeah, I can't even breathe in this. But when she put it on, it appeared like it was a full mask, but it was like I don't know what to call it. The material. It's not like nylon or whatever.
yeah, it was, yeah.
But there's no way. Like it's just
Right.
there. So
She could be compliant and walk on a plane.
exactly. That's all it was.
But that's the stupid, like, so many of these things aren't making common sense. And like, okay, here's an example. I went to a restaurant. I'm not going to say which one, but I went to like one of those fast food restaurants one day after work, and I went to the counter and I was ordering my food at the counter, one of those ones that you kind of tell them what you want on the way down. And my mask was on, and I was trying to tell the woman what I wanted, and she couldn't understand me. So I lifted my mask a little bit, pulled it out, and pulled it down a little bit so she could hear me.
right.
And she kind of went, "Ma'am, you need to leave your mask on, ma'am." And I was like, "Just breathe. She's just afraid." And I put my mask back on, and I looked behind her, and I kid you not, the cook is cooking my food with his mask below his nose.
Right.
And I'm like, how does this make any, like, so the man in charge of preparing what I'm going to put in my body doesn't have to have it over his nose, but me behind a glass and your mask want me to have it over my nose, and you're going to yell at me because I
Right.
didn't. Like, but then I got to remember, like we say at the end of the day, she's just scared.
Right.
She's not trying to be mean. She's not trying to be a jerk. She's just afraid.
Right.
And so I think that's what we have to remember when things don't make common sense. They're just afraid, and we're called to be compassionate and understanding.
Yeah. You're right. I mean, I think you just.
I don't think that means you don't state your opinion, because
Right.
again, we have freedom of speech. And my freedom of speech tells me that I'm allowed to give my opinion on why I don't want to wear the mask or give the shot to my family. That's my freedom of speech. But at the same time, you have freedoms too. And even though we don't agree, I can still be compassionate and understand being in your shoes where you're making this decision. The thing that is kind of tripping me up a little bit is it seems like it's okay to express, hey, I got the shot. Like, hey, put me on Facebook with my Band-Aid and my card and everything. But you have to silently talk about reasons why you don't get the shot because you're attacked.
What I was going to say. It's that it would be okay. I see why people get, I guess, more agitated and upset in some respects, like, because you can't say anything. Like, I feel like I don't even want to approach the topic because it becomes this conflict, and I don't like conflict anyway. So I don't even want to talk about it, but at the same time, it's like, it's very frustrating.
I think we're going down a path that even if people start to think or believe or do research or whatever, that the vaccination is safe, it's the point of, I have freedoms in this country that our forefathers, our ancestors have died for, and I'm not going to inject my body with something that I don't want to, because it's my body and it's my choice.
And I get that, but I guess I also say, like, because like the other one I keep laughing about, because every time I go in, although she didn't say anything the last time I went into the doctor, like when I first started with her, the new doc a year ago, it was like, well, you need, you're of the age, you need to get the shingles vaccine. And, and I've talked to some people like, oh yeah, shingles is really bad.
Wait, what's the age? Are you old? Are you considered old now?
Yeah.
He's hot though.
Yeah, I'm old. I know. It's hard to tell, really. I know. I'm this specimen.
Do you have your ARP card?
No, I don't have an ARP card yet.
He's lying. They sent you one in the mail?
They did. They want me to sign up. I was going to get the cooler and everything. I should have signed up just so I can get the free cooler, to be honest, but I didn't want to
Are
do
you
that.
kidding me right now? You're a hot ARP guy.
I am a hot. Yes. No, I will never take a senior. Well, I don't say never because
don't say
I think I will get to a point where, yeah, I'll take that senior discount.
I mean, when we're about to take our kids through Disney and they say senior discount, we're like, yes.
I'm all over that one.
I'm about to be older today.
I'm all over that one. But no, I'm torn because I do think like it's not an obligation to people necessarily, but it's like, if I'm to, because I could also see the argument, and not that I think it's a stretch argument because there's so many other things that keep people not healthy, but then you have the argument of, well, you not taking the shot or you not taking care of yourself is costing everyone else
Right.
because they're going to have to pay for your future health issues.
Right.
And I sort of get that, but at the same time, I'm like, well, if that's the case, then, what about diabetes? Because diabetes, for the most part, not in all cases, is caused because people are just they're unhealthy eating.
Oh, well, let me raise my hand and say both my parents were
Well,
diabetic, and that's not the case. Like,
I
my
get it.
doctor said because of my genetics, I will be diabetic.
Like I said, in most cases, not in all cases.
In some cases, I don't, unless you do research, you can't say some or all.
Okay.
Or you can't say all. You have
Most
to
of the
really
people
know.
I see that have diabetes usually have some sort of trouble eating well.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I've seen. But either way, my point is though is that it's like we single this out, and I get it because this has changed everything. I mean that's the thing that is just so, like, if you really think about this past year and everything that this COVID thing has changed, it's so, it's crazy. Like, it's changed an entire society and our approach to how we have daily living.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everything. And so
But there's good that has come out of this too.
Well, yeah, I think.
Like, look at all the people who've sat home with their families realizing what's important now.
Right.
Or, for me, that time that we were locked down and I couldn't go to work, for me, I felt like I was drawing closer to God because I was reading the Bible more and studying more and listening to worship music more. And for me, I felt like it's brought me closer to God. And I'm sure that there's other people that would say the same thing.
Right.
So there are good things that come out of it. And what I have to remember at the end of the day is everything is within God's plan. He knew from, the get-go that this would happen one day. This was all his plan, that he would use this for his good, for our good and for his glory. So this doesn't shock him. And so there's good that's going to come out of this.
Right.
One of the things that I am hoping for, I hear different people talking about a revival, people are going to come back to God, come back to the knowledge of who Jesus is and what he did and who he is for us. And I'm hoping for that. I'm hoping for a revival.
I got nothing. Amen.
You know what else has happened through all this? I've been
What's that?
fortunate that I've been able to go to work every day in my profession, which I'm not going to say what it is, but I have a public service job, and I've been blessed that I've been in person every day helping the people that I need to help, and it's made me love my job more, especially when I know that so many people could not even go to work. And it's made me love my job that much more this year. And the people, another thing that's happened is the people around me at work, we've all had a really, really tough year, year and a half. Everyone has. Everyone that I talk to has had some struggle, whether it's their child or finances or, there's something, their husband's, job or uncertainties. Everyone's had some major struggle along with this. But I've seen my team of people draw so close to each other and support each other, and I can't even explain. I could try, but how wonderful this team of people that I work with is. Like, I've never had anything like it, and it's all come from this stress, this social stress.
Yeah. It's funny because I feel like it's like in my situation, it's almost the opposite. Like people have gotten so disconnected that it's very difficult. I mean, it's been interesting that we've like you really have to work at staying connected
Yeah.
when you're so remote. But I'm more concerned that we've become so disconnected. And like I don't know how we reconnect. Like we've talked about, you know, where I'm at, where like I'm not sure how I don't know what the new normal will look like, because I don't think it's going to look the same as it did, you know, a year or two ago.
Well, what are we called to do?
Right.
Love God,
Love people.
love people.
Make disciples.
So when in the disconnect, you know, maybe you know, you're there to help make some connections.
Well, that's what I feel. It's funny because I spend the majority of my day in meetings, and most of them I'm scheduling. Like I'm actually facilitating the meeting, and I'm driving people to have communication. And it's interesting. I feel like I've gotten pretty good at it, but it's kind of an interesting, like for me, because it's not really my natural. I wouldn't say it's natural for me. For the most part.
That is your degree, right?
It is.
Okay. No, you're better at it than you think,
I
babe. There's
probably
times
am.
where I have to come to you and get your opinion on communications and
Yeah.
how to do it right. So you're better at it than you give yourself credit for.
Probably, but I don't know. Lately, I feel like, although yesterday I don't feel like I was overly aggressive, but it was one of those coaching moments. Like I was having to coach my team, like we've got to think differently. And I was just, I don't know, I'll probably have to go back and check on them next week just to make sure that they understood. It's not I wasn't trying to be mean by any sense, but it's just like we've got a lot to do. And especially in this sort of disconnected way that we are right now because of all of this, it's like, it makes it hard to try to keep those connections. Like that's I think that's where I was heading toward when I was thinking about it, because I was listening to your story. Like you guys have drawn together closer, and it's like it's sort of been this camaraderie that's built up. And I think what I'm seeing from my experience, and I don't know if it's like this in all corporate settings, but because now we're so disconnected, like you really got to force yourself to stay connected. And if you're not one, like you said, I might have a little bit of an advantage because I feel like that's probably a skill that I have. But like if you don't have that skill at all, like you just have gone really disconnected. And so that's been the tough part for me, is how do I help those individuals kind of stay connected. So I don't know.
I don't know.
I miss having people around though. Like people talk about, oh yeah, I could work from home forever, and I'm like, no, I don't really want to. Like I like although now like I go in the office, there's nobody in the office. Like I go in, like there's been a couple days where it's like I'm the only one around, or maybe there's one other person, but because of some of it's the rules that we have. I mean, you got to wear a mask when you're walking around. It's like, well, no one wants to wear the mask, so you just stay at your desk.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
I think maybe the difference, I mean, there's a difference when I work, all my team is all women, so there may be a difference there too. But
well, women talk better. Is that?
Yeah. I think we're better at connecting sometimes.
I agree.
But the other difference is, like, our job is we service the public, and we service people who really need us. And when you give yourself to serve someone else, it's easier to be connected. You have to connect to do your job well. And so in your job, you don't necessarily have to service the public. It's a product. Right. And so that probably makes it a lot harder to work towards a product and towards a profit than towards an outcome. So, like, how can you have your team
Feel like they're more servicing. Like,
yes.
Yeah.
And
That's
is there something that you can do on the outside as a team to service, or is there something that you can do within? I mean, can you like have a project, a service project that can? Because that, I feel like when you're in it to help other people, you're more likely to give of yourself and to connect. I don't know how you do that in corporate world.
Yeah, I mean, there might be elements of that. I think you can definitely, like I talked about a lot, where, we're there to service the business. I mean, in our field, I mean, we're not really working on the product per se, but so I think there might be an element of that, but yeah, it is different because it's not like in your case, I mean, you actually get to, I feel like you get to actually get to know the people and make an impact in their lives, where at the end of the day, I say that all the time, we're basically I'm in a position where I'm helping, like you said, we're basically working toward a profit. I mean there is something to say that, we want people to enjoy their job and blah blah blah, but I mean it's not the same. So
It's not. So, communications major. How do you make the team feel more connected?
Mm-hmm. Well, I feel like that's part of why, like I said, when I try to schedule these different sessions, I mean that's kind of the focus, I guess. But I don't know. Right now, I just feel like I have so much going on. It's just difficult to even manage just the day-to-day stuff. So, well, kids are gonna get up soon, huh?
Yeah, probably. We gotta plan for the day. This is my favorite time though, on Saturday mornings, when we sit down and have coffee and just talk.
Yeah.
Like I feel like all week long we don't get to talk because life is crazy. And I just look forward to waking up on Saturday mornings and just talking.
We should make it a habit.
Maybe.
Could be something fun.
I mean, it has been a habit. We've been doing it for a while.
Yeah. The struggle is just, oh no, I'm always so tired.
Wake up.
I know. I need to go to bed earlier.
Babe, how much earlier can you go to bed than 9 o'clock? I mean, I guess you can go to bed at 8, but okay, 9:30 last night.
I know, yeah, that's true. We really can't go to bed any earlier than that. I don't know what I'm thinking. We could go to the gym
No,
today.
we need to exercise
We
and
need to go to
eat
the
right.
gym.
That's what we need to do. That's our struggle.
We should do that today. In 30
Okay.
minutes. All it would take, just 30 minutes.
I know. We should.
We'll go 30 minutes. Don't you do that.
No one can see me.
All right.
All right.
You ready to be done with this thing?
Done.
You done? Mm-hmm. So I should turn this thing off and,
Probably.
yeah. All right.
Probably.
All right.